out there in YouTube land. Y'all should just park your pickup trucks and get them kids off the four-wheelers. Tell them to bring you an ice cold one and join us right now for a little Ready, Set, Drone fun. Cause it's First Friday and everybody's here to have a good time. I see we got a great group of good old boys in the chat tonight. I see Skeeter, Tater, Possum, Billy, Bobby, Ken, and my brother Brad from Virginia. All in the chat and ready to help us get this party started. Welcome all y'all. Hey, and welcome to our lady friend too. I know there's probably only one, but thanks for being here. It is First Friday and it's time to get started, so let me introduce your host, the man with the plan, the guy who can fly, the dude who's rarely rude, Kelly Shores. Yeah! Hey, it's First Friday, the last First Friday of 2022. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Man, what a great chat we've had going here. We got Leonard in the house. We got Chris Hope in the house. Mike Miller in the house. We got Michael Wright in the house. We got Jody in the house. Jody Drone Shots. We got 107. Got Leonard. We got... let's see, Sunrise Water Media. He's literally in the house here. We got Joe Blaylock in the house. We got Maddie, and we got the Toto brothers. Man, thank you guys all for hopping on. We got my brother Brad from Virginia, who the genie mentioned a minute ago. And by the way, I do love the fact that Joe Blaylock calls that guy the genie. That might be the last time you see the genie. We might be retiring him for 2023. We'll have to see. But or he might have a new set of lines to play. But before we get started tonight, I want to do two things. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and crack my Dr. Pepper. You guys ready? Listen to this. Ooh. Does that sound cold and refreshing? And then second of all, I used to be able to do this really well. Can I still do it? Oh, nope. Hold on. One more. No. Hey. What would it be without those kind of hijinks? Nothing. It'd be Thursday Night Live is what it would be. So, by the way, Ken Herron, I think, was here. I don't know if he's still here, but, and Artco Drone Solutions. By the way, guys, thank you all for the awesome stickers. I have a boat ton of them on my laptop, as you can see right here. If you send me a sticker, I generally stick it on the laptop. The problem is now that the stickers are starting to cover older stickers. So if you don't see your sticker anymore and it was on here at one point, that's because it's probably covered by a newer sticker. So send me another one. That's the best way to stay on top. And Sergio said he received I sent Sergio, Michael, and Maddie the TexRex t-shirt here. This is TexRex. TexRex is my FPV name. It is an old guy who flies FPV who happens to be from Texas. Also, if you really want to get deep on that, metaphorical transmitter, receiver, TX, RX. Yeah, we could bring up a picture of TexRex. There he is, doing his thing. That was with the older goggles. Actually, we updated the file, so he wears the newer goggles too now. And then over here, we got the crew. Can we go to crew cam? Let's see what's going on with the crew. Oh, there we go. There's Chris and Mark. They have been with me since 7 a.m. this morning. We actually had a live stream for a client today at the client's office and had to take everything down and then bring it over here. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. I'm still just getting over those corporate words today that I heard.
A lot of synergy.
There's a lot of synergy, a lot of, I can't even remember them now.
Well, let's see. How about earnings calls, synergy, market trends? Yeah. As a matter of fact, I really wanted to do tequila shots every time they said synergy, but it was 7 in the morning, so we weren't allowed to do that. But yeah, so Mark and Chris have been producing with me all day. The show for our client went really well at their location. Good. And then we hauled all our stuff back over here, got it set up. And we have an awesome guest on tonight. Lucas will be on in just a few minutes from DroneTag. But before Lucas comes on, Mark, I was showing you some footage from a trip I recently took to Halifax, Canada.
Yeah.
Now, what do you know about Halifax other than the pictures I showed you?
It rhymes with telefax.
Sort of, actually. That's not even a great rhyme. Really, be more like
It's an exact rhyme.
no. You said tele, be like Malefax or Talifax,
Okay.
right?
Okay, technically you're right.
Yeah,
Technically.
yeah. And we're going to talk to Lucas about vowels in a minute too, so we'll understand how rhymes work a little bit better.
We got a little pool going back here to raise some money for some vowels.
Right. I want to buy a vowel.
Yeah.
Can I buy a vowel? So, can you pull up a couple of those shots that I
Can
took?
we start with the helicopter? Because that freaked me out.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I actually played this at last First Friday. This shot is with the Insta360 X3. I had the opportunity to go up in a helicopter we're doing some work for a company that makes LiDAR systems, Phoenix LiDAR Systems. If you have checked out any of their videos, Chris and I have been working on those together. And we actually got to go when they installed the LiDAR system on this helicopter, and we got to go out on a test run where they were flying with it. And that's just the Insta360 X3 sticking out the window. The pilot told me I could do that during takeoff and landing, but once we got over about 25 feet, I had to pull it in the air, pull it in. So
what's in your hand there, Kelly? I can't tell.
that's a selfie stick. That's a selfie stick. Actually, I've shown this to a few people, and they literally thought that it was a drone flying next to the copter. They're like, were you flying right beneath the blades? That would be really, really scary.
Good. You're that good, though.
I'm that good with the downward air. It puts off a lot of wind. But yeah, can we go to one of the Halifax shots? So two things happened. Number one, I was going to Canada and I wanted to take a drone. And number two, DJI made the Mavic 3 Pro, Mini Pro. Mini Pro? Pro Mini? What is it, Chris?
Yeah, Mini 3 Pro.
Mini 3 Pro. Made it compatible with the RC Pro. And honestly, I wasn't going to get it until that was the case because I have an RC Pro and I love flying with it. I am so glad I took that thing to Canada because I didn't have any problems. I used the smaller batteries, which keeps it under 250 grams, so no registration required, etc. And was able to get some really awesome shots of Halifax. You can see the city right here. It's right on a river. And then I was able, you're kind of cut off there, Mark. I don't know if you can, or if that's a Chris thing.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, there's lots of craziness going on.
It's totally Chris.
There was this flag, and you can see the wind was blowing pretty hard up at that altitude, but it just, I just want to sing "O Canada." I mean, doesn't that make you just want to sing "O Canada," Mark?
Yeah, I sing it once a morning.
And sing and eat some poutine. we had delicious poutine, and then we went out to this place called Peggy's Cove. And Peggy's Cove has that lighthouse, and we were able to get some really beautiful shots at sunset of that lighthouse. We were interviewing a doctor in Halifax. He's a very famous person for doing transplants, and so he just kind of wanted to show a lot of shots of Halifax in the video, and so he was like, yeah, run around and get some beautiful shots of
look here,
Halifax.
Look at this one.
Yeah,
Wow.
360, baby.
Yeah.
There I am.
That reminds me, right there.
Elf on a shelf.
Yeah.
That's me.
It's that time of year, you guys.
It really is. Elf on a shelf
He's so
stuff.
cute. He's just adorable.
I really am cute in the 360 view. The X3 is a really great little camera. I've been pretty impressed with it. I've used Insta360 before, but the X3 brings some quality to it's a 48 meg. It's actually two 48 megapixel sensors. That's me swimming this summer with it.
I love that.
Yeah, and actually, can you do one of the drone shots, the FPV shots with it? We put it on a FPV drone, and
no, I took those off, dude.
You moved them?
Yep.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Oh, here we go.
You got one? Yeah, you might have to scoot forward just a little bit. There it is. So this is what it looks like on the GEP RC Mark V. That's a 6S 5-inch, freestyle quad. Love that quad. It's it's taken a little bit of a beating recently. Unfortunately, it was kind of raining, and with 360 cameras, you'll find that if you get a drop or a scratch or anything like that on the lens, it shows up pretty prominently. So you're seeing a little bit of that because of the rain. But we wanted to get these shots, so did a little bit of flying around Canyon Vista Middle School, one of my favorite places to fly, and just had some fun with it. It was a fantastic day. First time Chris and I had gone out and shot a video like this in a couple of months. So it was good to be back in the saddle. So Mark, tell us about what happened with your Mini 2 recently. You lent it to a friend and it had a little bit of an accident. And
well, I won't name any names.
Yeah, don't name any names.
Because he'll... but yeah.
By the way, it wasn't me.
I got excited. Kelly and Chris got me going on this drone business. I got super excited. And before I even learned how to fly, I was getting everyone I knew, like, you got to start doing this. And so I loaned him the Mini 2, which, by the way, I feel like I'm responsible for your Mini 3.
Yeah, that's right. If I still had the Mini 2, I wouldn't have bought the Mini 3. Yeah. So true.
Before I even knew the Mini 3 was coming out. Classic Kelly. Anyway. But yeah, I loaned it to him, and he ended up crashing it. Like, he said he just destroyed it, just hit a tree. And he was so embarrassed, he didn't even tell me. He just called DJI and like, hey, what do I do? And how do I get this guy a new drone? And now they just gave it to him, a new one, for $90. And so he just brought over a brand new drone to me to replay, to send it back. So that was cool. I was pretty impressed. He said their customer service was really easy to work with, and it didn't even have a good registration because I had erased something when I took it from you. And they were just like being really cool about it. So
yeah, that's good to hear about good customer service in general, and then from DJI in particular. Not something that you hear too often. I'm not saying their customer service is bad, but just saying that usually you hear the complaints. So it's nice to hear a good story about customer service. And you shot a music video with that recently, and have done all kinds of stuff.
And I was telling Chris not to tell anybody because I still haven't gotten my proper paper.
Oh, that's right. But you did that for free.
Yeah, but dude, if you read the rules, I've been reading a lot about it and listening to them. It's like, if you're doing it for, it was for a memorial service, so I think that was cool.
It was a tribute to
But anyway, according to the way
I dare the FAA to come after you. I'll put your number up in the chat down below, and then if you want to come after Mark,
but yeah,
I double dog dare you.
I guess I was impressed that, we were only out there. I only shot that thing in like 70 or 80 minutes, that whole thing, and so we shot the main stuff. And I said, hey, if you guys got a second, let's just put the drone out for a minute. Within 20 minutes, I had some good stuff that was like just right for it. And I'm just barely learning, and I'm just impressed so far that I can grab a shot like that. I grab a couple of shots that really add a lot of value to it,
Yeah.
So
it's
super exciting.
It made that video really, really cool, and it was a memorial to somebody. So,
well, dude, you remember when getting a crane? Like I did a crane shot. That would have taken like 4 guys and track and a crane, and 10 minutes later we had the shot. So, pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm just responding to Fly Natural. Haven't seen him in the chat in a while. Great crowd in here tonight. Thank you guys for all being here. And Mark and Chris, thank you guys for sticking with me all day long, more than 12 hours together. We got another hour or 2 to go. But I do want to bring in our guest. We have a guest all the way from the Czech Republic, and actually he's currently in I think Taiwan. But this is Lucas, and I have no idea how to say his last name, but Lucas is the I believe founder and CEO of DroneTag. He is making tags that will allow people to be compliant with the new FAA and other international regulations for flying drones, aka remote ID. And welcome, Lucas. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Kelly, for introduction. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So the big question: how do you say your last name?
It's Lucas Bercho, but even Czech people cannot do it properly.
And how can you have a last name without a vowel? Is that a thing in the Czech Republic? No A, E, I, O, or U?
It's kind of rare. It's not common. It's rare. That's why even Czech people cannot pronounce it correctly.
Well, very glad to have you on tonight. You said that you were in Taiwan. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm currently in Taipei, the capital city.
And what are you doing there?
It's morning there. So I have came here like 3 weeks ago, and the remote ID stuff, it's happening all over the world, even in Europe, even in Asia. So I came here to meet the local ecosystem, to have some meetings with civil aeronautics administration, basically steer the upcoming remote ID regulations. And I'm pretty sure you might not know it, but there's a lot of drone manufacturers in Taiwan that actually do kind of R&D for US-based companies. So we are having discussions with those, getting them prepared for the remote ID in the US.
Very cool. So of all the countries you visited, so you obviously live in the Czech Republic. I'm sure you've been in Europe. Have you been to the US? Have you been to the United States before?
Yeah, I was in Vegas at
okay.
the UAV Commercial Expo in September.
Very
That
good.
was my first US experience.
Well, Vegas is a very strange U.S. experience. It's not the typical one. But I'm just curious, based on what you know about remote ID around the world, and even when I went to Canada, that's why I ended up getting the Mini 3 to travel to Halifax so that I could fly under 250 grams, because I didn't want to have to deal with anything. And I realized I probably should have done, because I actually was shooting that stuff commercially. Although I pretended to be a tourist, just, hey, I'm here, I'm taking some drone shots. But all of that said, where do you think the strictest drone remote ID laws are going to be when they go into effect? Is that in the US, or is that in Asia, or where do you think they will be the strictest?
So most people are not aware of one funny thing, and that is the US is not the first of implementing the remote ID. The first country actually was Japan, and the remote ID remote ID there is since like July this year, and they have even more strict restrictions than in the US, and they require all drones above 100 grams to have remote ID on board.
100 grams?
100 grams.
Wow. That would be like a tiny whoop.
And the funny fact is that people don't complain. They are not aware of any kind of Karens rushing to them and having a discussion. And the main reason is there is kind of different drone culture in Asia and in US, Europe in general. In Asian countries, most people don't really care when the drone is flying above them. They simply see a drone, they are fine. But in Europe and US, people really freak out. So people are afraid. And the first thing they think when they see a drone, oh, someone is filming me.
Right. People are very privacy minded. The term for it's a term for a woman in the U.S., and I think there is a male term as well. But have you heard of a Karen?
Yeah.
What do you call them in Czech? What do you call a Karen in the Czech Republic? Is there a name?
We also call them Karen.
Oh.
we kind of adopted this approach from the US. So.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because there's some very nice people in the world named Karen, but yeah. So, and I think
we have many customers called Karen, so it gets quite challenging often.
Yeah. Well, so your product, the DroneTag, you have a couple of different versions of it, right? Can you talk a little bit about the main products, just briefly? We don't want a commercial here, but what are kind of the main things that your company sells? And Mark, you want to bring up the website?
Okay, so the website is really not something we are proud of because it's like 1.5 years outdated. So please be patient with the website.
Okay, sounds like get rid of the website.
But to give some general overview, we started with this product which is called DroneTag Mini, and people really think that it's not mini enough, so they are actually making fun of it. But it was our first product, and we call it Mini because at the time we started the development and introduced the solution, the competitor products were like 3 times the size, 3 times the weight.
Wow.
And we built this product with a cellular and broadcast remote ID capability. So it kind of do a dual way approach of the remote ID. But then we realized in some countries, such as the US, you don't really need to have the cellular connectivity. So we introduced smaller version that's called DroneTag Beacon. That's like half of the size and also half of the weight. And this is currently the most selling product in the US region. So people are buying Beacon. We receive many orders on the Beacon. And that's for the reason that people just want to have some kind of bare minimum solution so they can be compliant and they don't care anymore.
And the DroneTag Mini is more of a professional grade. It has more features, right?
Well, both of those products are meant to be used mainly by 107 pilots. Yeah, got it. So they are kind of priced to this kind of group. And we will be soon introducing something for the hobbyists also, because there's a lot of people still flying Mavics too. There's a lot of people still flying Phantoms 3. And they cannot really kind of afford the same price we offer to 107 pilots. So this is more meant to be used by professionals. And yeah, you get very smooth experience. You get very cool features, but it's not simply for people that want to be remote ID compliant. So FAA can shut up.
What? By the way, Sean at Geeksvana says thank you for his delivery.
Yeah,
I assume you sent him some of that good Czech bud, right? All right, sorry.
Sean will be then doing some kind of technical overview of the remote ID situation in UK and Europe.
He's a great person to do it. He knows the rules and the laws better than most Americans. He knows American drone laws better than most Americans. So as far as the weight, can you hold those two products up again? Hold them up to the camera. So what's the weight on each of those?
I have it in a grams. So apologies, guys.
No, we know grams.
So the Mini is 32 grams, and the Beacon is 16 grams.
So about half, exactly half the weight.
Yeah, exactly half. And it's important to point out that there is everything included. So both of these devices have all the antennas and batteries inside.
So are they rechargeable?
Yeah, it's rechargeable. So
just USB.
There is a USB here. We actually use micro USB because it's smaller. So there is a micro USB. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see it. We can see it pretty well. So micro USB charger.
Yeah, you can use any kind of micro USB, and then we have also this kind of JST connector for integration with the flight controllers. So then you can have even more features when you integrate with the flight controllers, such as Pixhawk or DJI-A3.
And so so what would be an example of a drone you would put this on? Like you said, a Mavic 3?
So actually, the most common drone we see recently is kind of Mavic to Phantom approach. Even though this was meant to be used by professionals, we tend to see the trend that even the professionals, for some kind of easy jobs, they use such an aircraft.
Yes.
So it was originally meant for drones from Inspire to M600. So
much bigger drones.
Yeah, but we have quite seen the trend that people most often use them on the small aircraft, such as the Mavic class. And that's due to the reason that even professional pilots in Europe, rather than bringing M60, M300, M200, they rather fly Mavic 2 or Mavic 3 when it's possible, because it's simply smooth and less danger to them.
Yeah. And I've actually done a series of hospital construction videos and just overviews of several hospitals here. And I used the Mavic 2 Pro for a lot of that. And then when I got the Mavic 3, it was a multi-year process. When I got the Mavic 3, I started using the Mavic 3 on those shoots, and the client loves it. I'm shooting 4K 60. I can slow-mo it. It just, the footage is absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, I think I could probably use the Mini 3 Pro, and they would see the footage and wouldn't know the difference, because it is.
Yeah,
Mini 3 Pro is so good.
Amazing how the technology evolves.
Yes, but so when you put that, let's say you're going to put it on a Mavic 2 or a Phantom, where does it go? Like, how does it mount onto the drone?
So in terms of the Mini, you can see the footprint of it is quite a little bit big for the Mavic. So there's not many places you can put it on.
You just put it on the propeller and it just spins really fast? And that...
We see people are putting the device on a battery. So that's kind of the safest option, because they are afraid of the device itself.
Velcro or tape, or what do you use?
So we actually have kind of industrial Velcro. So this is kind of mushroom-based Velcro that's kind of industrial. So it can withstand multiple kilograms of thrust.
Okay.
So you don't have to be
afraid. It's not going to fall off. Shouldn't fall off.
And what I wanted to say, that the Mavic people are kind of afraid putting it in front on the aircraft, because they are scared that it can interfere with the
GPS.
GNSS.
Yeah.
But we did. So our testing drone, where we developed the device for 3 years, is actually Mavic 2. And we always mounted it in the front over the internal antenna. And we were even curious. So we did some kind of benchmarking and multiple tests. And we found out that there's basically no kind of decreased performance of the internal sensors, even though you put it in the front. So it's up to user decide. We recommend the battery to be 100% safe, but they can still do the front if they prefer.
Okay. And so if when the date comes, it's September in the US, I believe, when remote ID will be effective. When that date comes and I want to fly my Phantom 4 or my Mavic 2, then I would get one of these systems from your website. I mean, is that order it and then is it pretty self-explanatory? Do you have to take anything apart to connect it, or is it self-contained? Because you talked about integrating it with a flight controller. Does it have to do that, or can it just be connected?
It's completely optional. So once you get the device and it's either a Mini or the beacon, you just charge it, you just snap it onto the drone, you register the serial number. So each of the devices has a unique serial number. So you register this one at the FAA and you are compliant. You don't have to worry about any kind of integration. So that's what we try to bring.
So you've made it really simple for people to do. As far as the battery life, I saw 16 hours for the drone beacon or the DroneTag beacon.
Well, we provide some kind of range of the devices. So on a Mini, we provide range 8 to 16 hours. And the reason for that is it can run 8 hours with internal GNSS and all the sensors running. And it can run 16 hours if you take the sensor data from the NavLink, or basically the flight controller.
Okay.
Because once you integrate with the drone, you shut down the internal GNSS, which consumes most of the battery. So once you integrate with the flight controller, you have kind of double time the battery. And
when you say integrate with the flight controller, do you mean with a wire, or do you mean okay, so if you plug it into the flight controller through that port that you were showing us earlier?
Yeah, if you have the option. So okay. Like most of the hobbyists, they don't have such an option on their DJI aircraft. But the professionals, that fly Matrix series or any kind of Pixhawk based drones, they are free to use the JST connectors to read the data from the flight control.
Okay.
And the major advantage of doing that is you always have more precise data onto the drone because it has a bigger GNSS antenna. It is kind of aviation grade GNSS receiver, and we have to sacrifice some of those features in our product to make it as small as possible.
And your data is going to match, right? So if you look at the logs on your drone, they would be exactly the same because it's pulling. So on the DroneTag Mini, for that one uses a SIM card, right? Or a SIM, sort of an internal SIM network for your cellular connections, right? So how does that work? Does that work through, like in the US, would that be a US based phone company like AT&T or Verizon or something like that? Or how does that SIM connect to the cellular network?
This is something we need to kind of improve in our documentation and even on the website because it's not clear. But we are shipping the device with already soldered chip SIM card on the main board. So the user, the customer, has really no control of choosing the SIM or changing the SIM. And we partnered with a kind of virtual carrier telco companies that provide us a single SIM card that works in the US, Europe, Canada, etc. And you as a user, when you get your Mini, you have a 6 months free of charge cellular service. But once there is this 6 months period is over, you can continue using the cellular services at $10 per month. Otherwise, you can cancel anytime. So you are, for example, over the winter, you don't have to pay the cellular service and you can just buy it for 1 month. And as a user, you kind of don't have much control of deciding which network you will use. So in the US, we allow you to use AT&T or T-Mobile, but we don't have the agreement with Verizon, for example.
So once your 6 months is up of the free, then you can sign up with AT&T, or it's with AT&T the entire time?
Sorry, I didn't hear you now.
Okay, so once the 6 months of free use is over, no charge, then you sign up with, you said you can sign up with AT&T or Verizon?
The user can kind of change this manually, but the device works automatically. So he don't have to worry about selecting the right carrier. Once you turn it off, it selects the best one in your location. And if you want, you can do the manual override, but it's not needed most of the time.
Okay. And then you have some software as well, some apps, right? That people can run, Drone Scanner and DroneTag app. Tell us about those two.
So we recently launched the drone scanner, which went kind of viral. And we also see multiple drone pilots really hating that app because they seem to be quite afraid that at this stage, someone can see their aircraft. And
well, it's an app. It's an app for Karens, right?
Yeah. But the main idea why we developed that is that we wanted to take the major player approach, and we made the app completely open source and free. And we wanted to be kind of first in this field because otherwise, when different company would come, they could make it even worse. I mean, they could make it proprietary. They could send the data to some servers or provide the data to third parties. And we, even though people hate the app, we try to make it right. So we try to make it open source. We try to make a clear explanation about the technologies, etc. So even though people are still hating the app, I'm really proud of that we released that and that basically anyone can dive into the implementation and see that we are not misusing the data or doing anything wrong.
Somebody was asking if the iPhone doesn't work well with Drone Scanner. Is it designed more for Android?
So we designed it for both of the platforms, but the thing is that the iOS it doesn't support Wi-Fi beacon and Wi-Fi net. And this is not really issue of a drone scanner. It's actually issue of the Apple's ecosystem, but they do not provide developer APIs to read the Wi-Fi data. So this is something that has been discussed with Apple for 3 years already, and they still haven't allowed developers to use Wi-Fi APIs. That's kind of limited on Apple. And the same thing you will see on Android devices. So some of the Android devices, they don't support scanning of Wi-Fi NAN information. They don't support scanning of Wi-Fi Bluetooth 5 information. So the market is really kind of split apart, and there's just very few phones that actually support reading all kind of remote ID technologies.
So what about the DroneTag app?
So the DroneTag app is now scanning only our devices, and we mainly did it for the purpose to kind of people can feel the safe when they are using DroneTag app and their Mavic drone, but again, we don't misuse their data because the DroneTag app is proprietary one, our own implementation. So we are taking kind of more careful approach about sending any data from DroneTag app. So the DroneTag app is currently just working with DroneTag devices. In the near future, we will be extending that it will do the similar functionality as a drone scanner, but you have to be very careful when you are kind of gathering the data and you want to do something with it.
Mel with 400 AGL was asking if your hardware would work on a remote control airplane, a fixed wing remote control airplane.
So there's actually many people that will fall into this remote ID regulation, and they're mostly the RC aero modelers and kind of FPV pilots that are now really angry. And we will be developing some special hardware for those guys that will not only be more affordable, but it will come at a different form factor. So we are heading somewhere around 10-gram device that will have everything included.
Wait, how many? You cut out 10 grams?
Yeah, 10 grams. We want to get below that.
Wow, that would be awesome.
But it will be device kind of no bells, no whistles. So it will be mostly do it yourself, integrate how you want. We just give you the hardware, and it's up to you to do the wiring. It's up to you to stick it somewhere.
And Mel pointed out, and this is my experience as well, that most fixed wing remote control planes don't have a lot of fancy electronics in them, right? They have push rods and they have servos and they have they have a flight controller that maybe does some stabilization, but they don't have GPS generally. They're usually more line of sight, right? You fly them in a big circle. And so your unit is all self-contained, so we don't really need it to integrate. I mean, it would work with a fixed wing plane as long as it would mount on it correctly, right?
Yeah, what we plan to do for those kind of fixed wing aircraft is we will drop the battery to make it lighter, so to get below 10 grams. And we will only require the pilot to integrate the power input, but it will be possible to do anything from 5 volts to 70 volts. So any kind of aircraft can put the power to it. And the consumption is actually very low. So people will barely notice any kind of degradation in the flypacks.
Someone was asking about the DroneTag module on FPV quads. the voltage, weight. So the module is smaller than the beacon. Is that right?
So that's something what I mentioned. We actually have two OEM solutions, but they are not shown on the website. So let me just show them now.
Yeah, please.
We have a Mini, and then we have its respective OEM version. So this is something for drone manufacturers that they integrate inside their drones. You can see it's very similar form factor, but in reality, this can be smaller. The bigger frame around is just a carrier board for the core module that's in the middle. So we did this custom carrier board for the customer that didn't really require to have a space constrained environment. But in terms of and this one has also cellular plus broadcasting.
So that one would fit in a stack, in a stack on an FPV quad, like with
no, that one won't. But this one, which we have as a respective variant for the beacon, so you can see this one is really small. So this one would fit into any kind of FPV aircraft, etc. But the disadvantage of this one is it's coming without the internal GNSS. So this is only kind of broadcasting, no sensors included, and it expects that it gets the input via the leveling. And that's why I mentioned earlier that we will be doing no bells, no whistles device for those kind of FPV pilots. That will be different, but it's currently in the development. The modules I showed you now, they are meant to be used by drone manufacturers that want to have kind of scalable and very cheap variant they integrate inside and become remote ID compliant. So we are working with different groups. We have a drone pilots with kind of common aircraft such as Mavics. They can buy those, they are fine. Then we have drone manufacturers. They can integrate those, they will be fine. And then we have the people that are now really sad and angry because they have to pay a lot of money and it takes a lot of space. And for those, we will be developing smaller standalone version that can be integrated in the fixed wing planes on the FPVs. But it's not announced yet, and it will become soon.
You heard it here first, folks. Straight from Lucas here on Ready Set Drone. So getting away. Well, last question about your products. Just quickly, what's your price range? Like, what's the most expensive and what's the least expensive, and how can people order them?
So the Mini itself comes at $299, and you have to kind of take into account that we try to price it reasonably. So if you go and do your own research about remote ID devices, you might find out that even though it sounds expensive to you, we are not expensive. So $299 for kind of cellular plus broadcasting remote ID devices is not expensive. In terms of the beacon, we price it $199. Again, if you do the research, check out the remote ID devices on the market, you can see we are somehow reasonable range. And the price at this moment is kind of estimated on two aspects. There's one aspect, the internal kind of components cost, and the second is the volume.
Right.
So
you're hoping that as the volume goes up, the price will go down.
Yeah. And that will basically push all the competitors with prices to lower range. So we will not be the only one making it more affordable. But we at this stage cannot simply sell the device and lose the money. So we did the price point just to cover the costs, do a little profit, and once the scale comes, we will be probably making money. But it's not at this stage that people writing in the comments, hey, those guys are completely crazy. They introduced something for $300 because
No,
FAA
I
has
understand that. It is really amazing how much stuff costs to make, and the R&D and the marketing and the shipping and the parts. And no, it's something that I think people are annoyed, myself included, that we didn't have to do this before, and now we do. So now there's suddenly this tax to fly our drones that we didn't have to pay before. But that's not really your fault, right? That's yeah. The other question I had for you is, or can you say, what are you working with any major drone manufacturers to integrate these directly into their systems, like directly into either like maybe an Emax drone or into a DJI or a Skydio or in any of those?
In terms of our partners, we recently announced partnership with Unique. So with Unique, we are working on retrofitting their existing fleet, but also integrating the remote ID inside. That's the only company I can mention at this moment.
But there's others in the works?
Yeah, we have over 20 companies in the US, only in the US, that we are helping to become compliant for the standard remote ID approach.
Okay. Now, when you're not in Taiwan on business trips or on live streams, what do you enjoy doing? What drones do you like to fly? You know, do you fly camera drones, FPV? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I started flying drones in 2012, and actually my first drone was from a company called Blade. They do the RC helicopters.
Yeah. I think I might have had the same drone. It did not have stabilization.
It doesn't have nothing. It was completely junk.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
it was very hard to fly.
And after I lost it, because fly away was a common feature at that time, so I simply lost it. I bought a Phantom 1, and I quite enjoyed taking pictures with Phantom 1 and GoPro.
Yeah, you just strapped a GoPro on the bottom and hoped for the best. Yeah, I did. I had a Phantom 1 as well. I think I probably got into it around the same time, 2012. I did a real estate video and hired a drone pilot to help. It was 50 acres on Lake Travis. Hired a drone pilot, and he had a flame wheel, I think, or flame wheel that he had built.
Flame wheel, yeah. I had this one also.
Yep, and he had a Sony camera strapped to the bottom, and he had Fat Shark goggles attached to it, so he could see analog, really bad glitchy analog signal. But I was amazed. And then the next year, the Phantom 1 came out in 2013. But I also had that Blade. It was the Blade. Mark, did you find it? Put Blade drone or Blade heli drone. I could tell you the first one. The first one I had didn't have any GPS or anything. Then they came out with one later that had at least stabilization. The very first one I had was unstabilized. Like if it had an FPV camera on it, I could have flown it today. But so what about today? What do you like to fly now?
So since I'm in kind of conflict of interest, I would say, I have to be very careful what I do with the drone. So I still personally own Mavic 2 for 3 years already. In our company, we have a Unique H850, and I'm not doing any kind of landscape shots, even though I did 5 years ago. I cannot simply do that at this stage because if my aircraft would crash somewhere, people will go crazy and say, hey, CEO of DroneTag has did this. He flown BVLOS 2 kilometers close to the airport, and this is simply something I cannot put the company in danger. So I just do very kind of simple shots over the seas where my girlfriend is surfing, or any kind of, I don't even go into the national parks because I'm simply too afraid that some Karen will come and
ruin your day. Well, one other question that popped up from Doc Murdoch was, would any of those smaller naked units, that don't have the casing around them, integrate with an FPV flight controller?
Well, this is kind of complicated. We are not into the FPV world. We simply don't have enough experience. But as far as I know, they are running kind of proprietary protocols. So it's not like plug and play you would do with the MapLink and Pixhawk. But we have recently got into touch with multiple flight controller manufacturers, and we are somehow looking for an options how this could be feasible. So at this stage, it's not possible. In the future, we will see how it goes.
Okay. Well, so you came to Vegas. You're in Singapore. What are you going to do for Christmas? Are you going to be home for that?
Sorry,
for the holidays, Christmas holidays, will you be back home in the Czech Republic?
Finally I will be home. It was kind of long month in Taiwan.
Taiwan. Sorry, not Singapore.
But we plan to go somewhere next year to Japan because, as I mentioned earlier, there's also the remote IAV regulation in place. And we are kind of now thinking about opening branch in the US and branch in the Asia to better serve the customers. We want to be a major player on the market, not only with the remote ID, but also with all that kind of UTM stuff that's in the works. And you always have to have local representative to work efficiently on those markets.
Well, very good. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on to answer questions about your product, Remote ID. It's nobody's excited about it, but at least there are options out there.
I am.
Well, you are because you see a need and you're filling that need, right? So ultimately, there's an argument that some regulation is necessary before we have major problems, major accidents or whatever, but I'm not going to get into all that. My main point is thank you for coming on. If you guys are thinking about making your drone remote ID compliant, it would be good to start by at least looking at what Lucas is offering at DroneTag.cz/en for the English version, correct? It's DroneTag.cz for Czech Republic / and then, am I right to say that hello and goodbye is ahoy?
Yeah, it's ahoy.
Ahoy. I did get a chance to visit Praha, a few years ago, and that was fantastic. Really beautiful time.
I really hope you had a better experience than me in Vegas.
Well, Vegas kind of sucks. Okay, so everybody, you might not know this, Lucas, but I do a big drone conference meetup in Austin called Spin Up. And we didn't do it this year in 2022, but we are going to do it in the fall of 2023, October or November. Maybe you could come over and speak at Spin Up.
That would be amazing. Thanks for
remote ID will be in full effect at that time. And so it might be good, just bring a box of your drone tags and they'll sell like hotcakes, because everybody will want one at that point. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know you had to get up in the middle of the night, and I really appreciate you doing this, and I look forward to speaking with you more and staying in touch, and I hope you have a safe journey back home, and have a good holiday.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm very grateful to be here and to do such a discussion.
Yes.
Looking forward to meet you in person during the conference.
All right. I will give you the details as soon as I know. It'll be next October or November. All right. Take care. Nice to meet you, Lucas.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Ahoy. All right. So what a good guest. He was very, very, I feel like he was pretty transparent about the fact that, like I said, a lot of people aren't excited about this, but he sees an opportunity, a business opportunity to help people and to make some money at the same time. And hey, I'm not going to argue with that. I wanted to I wanted to talk about a couple of other things before we go. I have this little crazy thing right here. This, if you guys remember the throw it in the air and catch it video, that was the what was that? What was that thing called? It was a little spinner thing, but this is also a little spinner thing. How did I make it go earlier, Chris? I was let's see. Now it's not going to work for me. So you spin it. Oh no, I know what it is. The problem is it's upside down. There it goes. All right. So you get this little thing right here, and then you throw it to Mark over here. Oh, or you throw it over his head, and it goes all the way back over there. So I have a couple of these. I have 3 of them, and I am supposed to make a video about them because they sent me these. And I also am supposed to give 2 away. And I am going to give 2 away to 2 people. But here's what you've got to do in order to win it. For those of you here, see if you can get it back. He's all the way across the room. We're going to see if we can do a long throw. I think it has to be, yeah. All right, nice and slow. This thing gets out of control really quickly. Here it goes. Oh, Chris. Okay, so if you want to win one of these things, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. It's a little bit complicated, and this is kind of cheap, so maybe it's not worth your time. But here it comes. Ah, there it is. All right, I'm gonna turn this sucker off. I don't know how to turn it off other than just to put my finger in there and cut the engine. Okay, if you want to win one of these things, I have started a podcast. It is called Dirt Nap City, and it's about interesting people who happen to be dead. And so if you go on to Dirt Nap City and you listen to the episode about Colonel Sanders, Colonel Sanders, he's the chicken guy before Gus Fring was the chicken guy. And you tell me, email me, contest at Ready, Set, Drone, what Colonel Sanders said about the KFC gravy, the Kentucky Fried Chicken gravy, how he described it, the words he used to describe it after he left KFC. So he sold it in the 70s, and then he became the spokesman, but apparently he badmouthed it a little bit. So listen to the, tell me what he said to describe the KFC gravy after he left it. And the first 2 people to do that, send me an email. I will send you one of these things, along with some stickers, some Tex-Rex gear, all that. So that's the contest. Dirt Nap City. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Apple Podcasts. I think there's actually a link to it in the description of this video. Like I've put it in all the descriptions. So go listen to the podcast about Colonel Sanders. You'll learn a lot. Even if you don't win, you're still going to learn a lot. We did one on Andre the Giant. We did one on Eleanor Roosevelt. We did one on Evel Knievel, of all people. Jerry Bauer says the podcast is neat. So thank you. Jerry, I appreciate you listening. Yep, finger looking good. Good guess, Maddie, but that's not what he said about the gravy. It was actually a negative comment because he had left the company at that point and was kind of salty. Yes, salty, says Joe Blaylock. Anyway, that's what you got to go do to win 2 of these, and then email me the phrase that Colonel Sanders said. What do you think it is, Mark? I know you haven't heard the podcast, so take a guess. What would Colonel Sanders say about the gravy?
It's great.
He's not Tony the Tiger.
It's my best shot, man.
All right. Well, you don't win. I was going to give you this ball, but you don't win. So email that to contest at Ready, Set, Drone. First 2, I'll send you one of these. And then the last thing, well, no, there's a couple more things. I wanted to see if, we have something special for you. We have a video for you. Apparently, this year in Texas, we have had much better fall foliage than we've had in years and years. And our friend Chris Hope got his drone out and was able to capture some of this Texas colorful foliage, which doesn't happen that often. And he made us a video of it. It's called 2 Minutes of Hope. Let's check it out now. I'm back. Hey, Chris Hope, thank you. I told Chris, I just said it in the chat, I wouldn't have believed that was Texas if it weren't for the fact that it was Chris Hope that sent it to me, because the colors are just amazing. And usually we don't get that bright of colors here. So that was pretty cool. Brant says it'll make you throw the darn chicken away and eat the gravy. No, I'm talking about a negative comment. You can't just guess, people. You got to go listen to the podcast. I want to see a big jump in podcast downloads tonight. So that's the goal of this contest. I'm bribing you people to give you these things to listen to my podcast. Get hooked, like Jerry. So all of that said, we're coming close to the end of the hour. Oh, we're past the end of the hour. I wanted to announce the Subscriber of the Month. So as you guys know, Subscriber of the Month is someone who has been in the chats a lot, been saying great things, not just on this channel, but other drone shows, supporting other folks. And by the way, also, I don't know if Art's still watching, but Art, I did get your sticker, and I did put it right there. Artco Drone Solutions, folks. So if you want a sticker from Art, it's a cool looking sticker. Thank you. So if you have been in the chats a lot, and a lot of you have already won Subscriber of the Month. So that's kind of a problem because I have to go back and find people who haven't won, at least not recently. And I want to say thank you to this particular person this month for being a very great subscriber who has been in the chats, not just on this channel, but a bunch of them. And are we ready? Uncle Bill's Toys. He just popped up as a 17-month balance charger, and his name was right here on the thing. So appreciate. I think you came to Spin Up, and it's great, to have met you in person, and hoping you'll come next year as well. Really, just appreciate all you do. You've been a great part of this community, and everybody is, all you guys are just awesome. You spend your time supporting this channel, other channels, and I just love chatting with you guys in the chats. I will definitely be announcing Spin Up by March of 2023. I'm hoping it'll be sooner. I just have to book a venue and date, and then once I have that, it'll be in October or November of next year. But congrats to Uncle Bill's Toys for being awesome and for being my Subscriber of the Month. I'll need to get your address so I can send you some goodies, including one of these. I'll send you one of these. Anyway, that really kind of brings it to a close. Mark, Chris, you guys got any final words out there before we take off?
Fly safe.
Fly safe.
Fly free.
Fly free. Fly legal. That's what Mel always says. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming. I'll see you in 2023 on First Friday. It'll be the first Friday of 2023. Love you guys. Mean it. Take care, and don't fly alone.
Fly with Ready Set Drone, 'cause Ready Set Drone will always fly with me. Flying fast and flying free, flying with Princess of Life for me. Ready Set Drone is my community. Goggles and rotors and FPV, props and motors and ESCs, gimbals and cameras are what we use to fly. Sharing stories and swapping tales, amazing triumphs and epic fails. How will you know if you don't even try? Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. Spin up your props and plug in your phones. Fly with us, we'll think that you'll agree. Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. When I fly, I won't fly alone. the plug in your bones. Fly with us, we'll think that you'll agree. Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Flying with friends will make you feel so